had a lot of success with everybody liking me doing oracle card readings as well. So I decided to do a live on the new moon where everybody can see a all signs oracle card reading. Just waiting for people to show up. And yeah, pretty much going to be going through some of the basics of the new moon in terms of like, what's the word? In terms of like stats, and then just like the general energies of all that. So gonna wait for people to show up. Then I'm gonna get the moderator in, and then yeah, pretty much that's what's going on. Oh, hey, how's it going? I'm doing live readings, just waiting for more people to show up. Texting Beans because she's the moderator and stuff. But yeah, if you're curious about the new moon, just drop any questions. Let me know what's up. Oh yeah, and then if whatchamacallit, if you want to hop back into the Alchemist Laboratory, we just did our live call. So yeah, let me know if you're ready to hop in with that. Okay, let me get all my notes together. Okay. Yeah, and then also if you want me to do a custom sign reading, just let me know. Damn. Okay, I'm gonna write this stuff down. Intro. Leo, new moon info. Then we have Taurus. I know. What's going on? Oh yeah, for sure. Do you? Yeah, I'm working on some new stuff. I'm working on a lot of my custom courses that are like taking a while because I want to do them in like a very specific way. So it's like, for example, for the Elemental Magics course that I did with that, the Elemental Magics course, I'm like literally filming in all the elements. So it's like I had to wait. Like I literally I filmed the Scorpio section because I'm doing them like by sign and section. I filmed the Scorpio section of the Elemental Magics course on a frozen waterfall. And that was kind of difficult because I fell down it like 3 times and I had to like climb back up because I like literally ice climbed it like I had like here, I'll show you. Like I had to climb up it with like an ice axe and stuff. So that was like a whole thing in regards to what I had going on with that. So it was like I'm literally climbing this like frozen waterfall with an ice axe and stuff. And like I fell down it 3 times, then I had to get up and like keep filming. So it was just like it was a whole thing, you know? And then it's like oh hey Beans, thanks for showing up. I'm telling the story of how I've been filming the Elemental Magics course for like over a year now. Or not over a year, but almost a year. Because it's like for Earth, I climbed an entire mountain. For water, I like filmed the Pisces section underwater. You know, I had to find an underwater cave for that, and that was a bitch. You know, so it's just like it's a lot that was like going on with that. But did I write down everything? I did. Okay. But yeah, so it's just like, I don't know, I'm putting a lot into it, and it's just like I want it to be like a lifetime thing where I can like teach people astrology outside of myself, you know? So it's like So it's like, because it's like, I want to teach my method, but I don't want to have the responsibility of people seeing it as like it's me. I just want it to be like a method that I see, that I use, and I want it to be outside of myself for a lot of reasons. One, I don't want the responsibility of being like the person that kind of leads that. And then, yeah, I don't like, you know, that's like not my vibe. Yeah, no, I appreciate it. I DM'd you the link that I wanted you to post because I'm doing live readings. I'm gonna do an all signs oracle card reading, and essentially, like after that, I'm doing like custom messages. So if people want to like buy their own little reading, they can do that, and I'll do that at the end. Or I'll, if you're not available, I'll send it to you. So yeah, essentially that's what's going on. But yeah, check your DM. There you go. So yeah, that's pretty much what's going on in regards to that. But yeah, I just have like, I got a lot of plans for a lot of the different courses that I want to do, because it's just like, when I film the planets, it's just like, I know planets is like a level 1 course, and I know it's basic, but I want to film that when like each planet is possible and I can actually see it in the sky, and I'll be like, yo, Jupiter is right there, you know? So it's just like, yeah, pretty much. But yeah, other than that, I'm going to do a rundown of the new moon in Leo, and then I'm going to do the all signs reading, and then I am going to do like custom readings. So yeah. Do you have any pictures of Europa? No, I do not, but that would be cool. So yeah, let's get into it. Actually, in 1 second, let me... I had to put my phone on Do Not Disturb so a call doesn't interrupt it. But yeah, anyways, the new moon vibes is essentially, we have the new moon in Leo, which is today, and it is essentially a, well, it's not today, it's technically tomorrow at like 3 p.m. Eastern time, but we're in the energy of the new moon. So the new moon in Leo is in 2 degrees of Leo, 2 degrees and 7 minutes. It angles to fixed star Talitha, which is the right paw of the Ursa Major constellation, which is all about grounding yourself in the vision of what new moon is reminding you to, right? So essentially what we have going on with that is the new moon is reminding you through a relationship or some type of deep alignment that we are experiencing the energies of opportunity, where we're being reminded of our childhood excitement. We're being reminded of what we incarnated to do. And it may not necessarily be the same thing of what you did as a child, but what it is an opportunity for you to understand and recognize that the vibes that we are, you know, dealing with and what we're going through is essentially an opportunity for people to understand whatchamacallit. Yeah. Bro, if you want a custom reading, click the link and I'll give you one. But yeah, essentially what's going on is it's an opportunity for you to open yourself up and recognize that this is what you incarnated to do. It may not necessarily be a specific thing, but it will be a specific vibration of that experience, right? So when we talk about that, or when we experience something in that regard, essentially what we have going on is an opportunity for you to really just recognize that you incarnated to do something. It's a specific vibration, and when you experience that, you'll have an opportunity to really just remember why you're here. You'll remember the vibes, you'll remember your childhood excitement, you'll be carrying through that as an understanding of foundational guidance, right? So it's like, essentially we're dealing with the energies of the solar plexus, the heart, the root chakra, and we are remembering that it is a space where people can vibrate in such a high capacity that they you know, they can just be that like same like childhood excitement that they incarnated as, right? And the new moon is reminding us that this is our vibe, this is our understanding, this is our experience to open ourselves up and isolate that incarnating vibration, right? So while it is also that, and while it's giving us a lot of courage to essentially create despite chaos, we're also remembering that the strength of the bear, or Talitha, or the right hand of the what's the word? The right hand of the Ursa Major constellation is giving us that courage. It's giving us that feeling to kind of expand beyond chaos and expand beyond that understanding of what's going on. So essentially, if you've been like doubting yourself or questioning your voice and holding back your own light, this new moon is for you. This new moon experience is going to open yourself up in such a way that you're just like not feeling the need to be so stuck. You're not feeling the need to be so stagnant. And you're not feeling that need to be in such a space where you can't expand beyond the limitations that you've been added on to yourself, right? So when it comes to those limitations and it comes to those things holding you back, a lot of what that is your parents giving you certain societal expectations, your leaders or your mentors or your, I guess you could say guardians or guides are putting you in such a way of where you're like, you need to do this. If you want to be successful in life, you need to do this. If you want to be someone who is abundant and has everything they want, you need to do this, right? So essentially what's going on is it is a unique space. It's an odd predicament to be in, but it's going to make you realize how many, how do you say this? It's going to realize how many beliefs you've internalized from what your parents told you need to be successful, right? So it's like in the West, a lot of people are saying, you need to go to college to do this. You need to go to college to do that. You need to go to some type of school or training to do this to be successful, right? And what people are realizing is that a lot of that is a scam. A lot of that is holding you back. So many people nowadays can just show their gifts and talents on the internet and essentially gain traction from that and be so expansive that they can just do whatever they want, right? Which is essentially the inspiration or the spark that the new moon is giving you. So when we put all of that together, we have to remember that it's an opportunity to remove a lot of doubt, remove a lot of limiting beliefs, and live much more, I guess you could say, purposefully through the body. So when we have that, it's an opportunity for everyone to open up and light that fire and be, gifted this feeling of abundance to keep moving, So that's pretty much what's going on with the new moon in general. Now, explaining the oracle card readings, essentially, how I do my oracle card readings, at least in this case, is I give you a 3-card pull, which is showing you a past lesson that's coming up, a current lesson that you're experiencing, and a future lesson of what's going on, right? So if you essentially want that specific reading done for your energy and not just your sign, we can do that for you and just click this link right here and get that reading and I'll get you read. But yeah, so that's pretty much how I do my readings. The deck that I'm using is the Starseed Oracle deck. It has 53 different cards, and they're pretty cool. I really like a lot of these cards, which, well, not this one. Let me see. I gotta show you my favorite ones. So yeah, this one's very Leo New Moon. I would say this one is the most Leo New Moon card. The Golden Children. Pretty cool vibes. And then even the back of the deck look cool. But yeah, Deep Cellular Healing's pretty fire. Look at that shit. And then I gotta find the Portal and the Void card. That's like my 2 favorite cards. Because it's symbolizing of the realm of all possibilities. Not that I necessarily think the creator of the deck intended it as that. However, I do think it's pretty cool. Let me find it. Oh yeah, Weight is a classic one. Weight looks way more cool than the vibration of it actually does. No, not Perspective. That one's cool. I gotta find it. Of course, right, I just used them, so they have to be here. Here's the Void. Where's Portal? I can't lose the Portal card. Oh, here we go. But yeah, these are my 2 favorite cards because they symbolize the realm of all possibilities. The Void, which is like a black hole, and then the Portal card. That sucks. But yeah, the portal card's super cool. Like, it's just like, hey man, you about to walk through a portal, situation's gonna be vibing. But yeah, let's get on to Aries. That's pretty much how I do my readings. Okay, so Aries. Aries, you could see Aries as the flame keeper. It's essentially reminding you that you don't need to start over and you need to start believing again, right? Because Aries kind of got caught up into people just straight shitting on its vibes, especially with Saturn moving into Aries, right? Everybody knew Like the Live, hook your boy up. But yeah, so essentially the moon is reigniting the courage they lost and reminding them that like they need to create in a long-term sustainable vibe. So with that being the chakra and the solar plexus and us dealing with the energies of Aries, let us essentially pull the card for the past, present, and future lessons that Aries needs to learn in regards to the new moon and what it is igniting with that, right? So we'll do past, present, future. Okay. So the past lesson that Aries has been learning is activated earth, right? So it says ley lines, trust where you are led, and power places. So essentially what that card is saying is kind of what I just said for Aries, of where it's like, you don't need to start over. You already know what you're aligned with. You already know what you're experiencing. You already know all of these things, right? So why are you getting distracted? Why do you think it needs to be something new? Why do you think you need to stop doing what's going on, right? And that kind of leads us into the current lesson that they're experiencing, which is, I remember. Isn't it funny how the reading that I kind of just gave leads into the cards, right? I remember. They remember what they're dealing with. The new moon right now is showing them what they have to focus on, right? So it's the soul plan, the fated life versus the destiny life, right? And reminding yourself of what you came from, what you're experiencing, what your destiny was. You need to really understand that this is what you have going on. This is your soul's plan. Don't forget it, don't fear it, but be it, you know? Because that's what Aries lost and what it forgot, right? So they're kind of in this weird space with Saturn and Neptune being in Aries, because it's like, you know, Leo's in their 5th house, but on their 1st house, they're in this weird space of just like what they want to do. They're forgetting yeah, there you go. That's one way to put it. I think you could articulate it better, because it's like, I don't know, that wording is kind of complicated, but I see the vibes. But yeah, and then their future lesson essentially is perspective, right? So it's basically saying none of this matters, zoom out, find common ground. And it's reminding them that just because you feel a certain vibe or just because you feel a certain experience doesn't mean, like basically this is saying your 80-year-old self is going to look at you like you're stupid for thinking that you ever needed to stop doing what you're doing because some, you know, stupid person told you that the vibes, like someone was basically just carrying about the vibes of Saturn moving in to a certain space, holding them back, you know? So that is pretty much the vibe for Aries. You know, past lesson is you already have the juice. Current lesson is, bro, why you forgetting? And then third lesson is, why did you waste your time doing all that? Because, hey man, your 80-year-old self doesn't give a crap. Let it do its thing. Now, moving on to Taurus. Taurus is essentially dealing with their roots being rewritten. They're experiencing the Leo energy of the new moon in their 4th house or their parental situation. And essentially they're dealing with the concept of their home is shifting. Choose what's sacred. Leave the heavy, leave what's heavy behind, and essentially the moon will rebuild your emotional foundation. And they're kind of dealing with their root chakra or their 12th house as well. So when we have this card reading of what's going on right here, we are dealing with Taurus, ascendants, sun, moons, and risings, with in regards to the Leo new moon in 2 degrees on July 24th, 2025. Okay, so their past, their present, their future. Okay, so with their past, they're kind of dealing with the card that says cracked open, which is essentially, it says, you know, rock bottom, surrender to the alchemy of life. where they may have had their own intentions. They may have dealt with what's going on. They may have had their own excitements. They may have been the bull that rushes towards whatever they're experiencing. And essentially their parents were kind of like, you know, you would be more successful if you did this. You would be more abundant if you did this. You would be more practical. You would be more encouraged if you did this, right? So essentially what they're dealing with is the energy of, I want to do what I want. I feel certain pulls. I feel certain drives to do these certain things. But a lot of people from the past told me that if I want to be successful, do this, you know? Now, when we come with the essential current lesson that they're dealing with is they're dealing with a lot of addiction issues, a lot of coping mechanisms, and a lot of kind of just strong grip on what they have, right? So what they need to do is they need to loosen their grip. As you can see, fall into the arms, let God in, do these experiences that you necessarily want. So Taurus is kind of dealing with this space of like, they're coping because all these people are bringing them to such a space that's holding them back. They're in a space of where they are essentially, you know, dealing with the cope of not doing what they exactly align with and not doing what they want, right? So they're in a bit of a weird space of where they're not necessarily resonating with what's going on. They're not resonating with what they exactly want to experience. They're not resonating with what's going on because they were adapting to what society or their parents or some type of, you know, home life or, you know, parental figure and or guardian suggested they should do because it's more sustainable and more valuable to what they want, right? So they kind of catered to that Taurisian experience of like, this is what's valuable. This is what's being experienced. This is what we want. And it's not necessarily what is resonating with Tauruses because they are rushing like the bull towards what they want to experience. And now they're dealing with this awkward energy of, well, this is what we have going on. They have a lot of subconscious emotions in their root chakra, which is their 12th house, and they don't exactly resonate with what this is that they want to experience. So when we move to their future lesson, they're dealing with the 7 star sisters or the Pleiadian energy of birthing creations, tapestries of life, and expression, where they are removing all of those subconscious expectations, those subconscious things, and kind of dealing with all of those energies that they are, you know, working towards, right? So when it comes to that Taurus energy, they have a lot of subconscious programming and a lot of subconscious home and family life that is stuck in their space that they don't necessarily want to resonate with. So with that being said, Taurus has to rebuild. They have to create their emotional foundation, and they got to move on, you know? Everybody, I'm going in order, but if you want to prioritize something, get a custom reading and drop your sign. And now we are moving on to Gemini. Okay, so Gemini, new moon reading for the July 2025 on 2024 new moon oracle card reading, seeing what they're going on, right? So Gemini is dealing with a sense of speaking the spell and learning the power of their voice because Leo is in their 3rd house. And, you know, essentially they're kind of got to ask the question of what story are your words writing right now? And how do you speak with intentional magic, right? Because we're focusing on the throat chakra. Now, let's get the cards for the new moon in Gemini 2025 on July 24th. New moon in 2 degrees of Leo. Angling the fixed star Talitha in the Ursa Major constellation. Past, present, future. Now let's see what the vibes are. So the past, right? Gemini is dealing with trust the timing. So trust the timing says, trust the wave you came in on, time is not running out. A lot of Geminis move off of euphoria and excitement. So when we deal with the concept of trust the timing, they're in a space of not necessarily recognizing the certain vibes of what they have, right? So it's like they're speaking things into existence. They're speaking things into a space of understanding. And they're not necessarily recognizing the correlation of energy behind their words towards how that manifests into what they experience, right? So Gemini is in a space where they aren't exactly understanding the power of what's going on, right? So their current lesson essentially is Star Brothers, right? So it says Horus energy, protection, loyalty, safety, and trust. And what that is they are looking for external sources of energy behind their words when they need to be looking at the energy that they're putting behind their words, right? So it's kind of like a catch-22 and a little flippy-dippy, because Gemini isn't exactly understanding the power of their voice. They're not understanding the power of their own magic. And they're not exactly understanding the energy behind what they're saying and how that leads to a specific manifestation of what they want to experience, right? So when it comes to trust the timing and trust the wave you came in on, Gemini needs to understand that time's not running out, but the energy behind what they said and what they want to manifest is, right? So that's kind of what they're dealing with right now. Now their future lesson is wait, it's not time yet. And essentially it's understanding that things are being woven. And this is a pretty key, honestly, like this sequence of energies right here, where it's like trust the timing, know the energy you're putting behind your intentions, and then wait, that is pretty deep, because when we talk about that, people don't really understand the power of manifestation and creating a container on Earth, right? So it's like, look at it this way. If we're going to keep this in the most basic sense, people are trying to manifest a bag of chips, but they're hoping that someone, intuitively knows that they want a bag of chips, and they're just going to send a DoorDash to their house randomly, right? That could happen for Gemini. It very well could, Geminis be scheming hella hard, and they be, scheming on numerous different entities, numerous different experiences. And it's possible, right? It's possible that they could be a player, they could have a roster, and someone could just be like, oh, I just felt you were hungry, and send it to them. Very possible. But essentially what that comes back to is they put the energy and the effort to create the tangible, practical vehicle for that to be sent to them, along with the understanding of creating a container for the manifestation, right? So they're creating a container for essentially what people want to have as a, like, they essentially want to what's the word? They essentially need to remember that, like, if they just want to say something, you should probably do something, right? So it's like, while you put all that effort into hoping that someone sends you a DoorDash of like a bag of chips, which is, horribly inefficient energetically, monetarily, resource-wise, in numerous different ways, you could have just walked down the street to like a 7-Eleven or something, or the corner store, or the bodega, depending on where you're at, and just gotten that bag of chips. You know what I'm saying? So it's essentially a weird experience or desire to even have to begin with, because it's like, you're well capable of doing it yourself, but you don't want to put the energy into it, and you want to look at manifestation as if it's some type of cheat code, when in reality, manifesting that in some way, shape, or form will very likely, like, it'll very likely, what's the word? Like, it's just inefficient all around, and it's just like, you're kind of looking at like the lottery ticket for something stupid. And that's why the universe is saying it's taking time, because it's going to train you, or Gemini specifically, in such a way that you are in a space of, whatchamacallit? You're in a space of, how do I say this? Being trained on how to understand your voice and the energy behind it, and learning how to not, like, put that energy towards stupid things like the example that I just gave. Now, moving on to Cancer. Okay. So, Cancer, 29. So, Cancers, they're kind of dealing with a lot of self-worth stuff, because Leo's in their second house of values and, their day-to-day money getting or resource acquiring things. And essentially the new moon is asking them to stop proving and start receiving, where your value, doesn't necessarily need validation, right? So the chakra focus that we're dealing with here is similar to Taurus, of where it's the first eye, the heart, and the root. So essentially we are pulling cards for Cancer rising. Cancer rising is essentially like, basically what they're asking is, all right, I already did that. Let me do the cards. Cancer rising, right? So we're doing Cancer rising. We're looking at the cards for the new moon in Leo and 2 degrees and 8 minutes of Leo, angling the Ursa Major constellation and the fixed star Talitha, which is the right paw of the Ursa Major constellation. And we are pulling cards for the past, present, and future lessons. Once again, guys, if you want your own custom reading outside of your sign, the link will be popping up in here. It's also in the description. So click that if you want your own custom reading to do it live, as well as, you know, if you're late, having a recording sent to you. Now, the past lesson for Cancer is the courageous peony, right? So essentially, this is just saying multifaceted, and it says multifaceted, unique nature, let yourself be seen, right? So essentially, that's literally what I just said, which is the new moon is asking you to stop proving and start receiving your own value, right? So when we think about the courageous peony and being multifaceted, essentially what we're dealing with, I always dyslexiate your name as Star Talk, even though it's Sarthak. But yeah, what's up? Thanks for showing up. We're doing Cancer right now. So essentially, when we think about multifaceted, we think about the phrase, the old phrase of jack of all trades, master of none. But people, I mean, you're doing great, Beans. Don't worry about it. It'll get done when it needs to get done. So when we think about that phrase of jack of all trades, master of none, people don't exactly know the old quote, but it's jack of all trades, master of none. What do you mean what language I'm talking in? You obviously understand it. So jack of all trades, master of none, but at least it's better than being a master of one, right? Because it's like the more you know, the more you grow, right? So that's kind of like their old lesson of where Cancer is essentially, Cancer is like, they're just understating their value, dude. Like, they're not recognizing it. They're not recognizing. Like, Cancers are always so, like, more often than 90% of the time, Cancers are creating their boundaries or creating their shell out of fear or out of needing to be protected when they need to be creating out of love, right? And that's like the greatest lesson a Cancer can achieve, of recognizing like what they went through, what they're being, and what they're experiencing. And that Cancers need to essentially like move up and move on. And they just got to recognize that they are cardinal water. They're the ones that are creating. They can walk into a room and create the vibe and have that natural aura and natural power that people talk about, right? So when we understand the energy of Cancer, it's all about understanding the worth within. It's all about understanding their internal values. So it's an odd space to be in because they're not recognizing how capable, how powerful they are. So when we move on to their, current lesson, which is the star ancestor, which says cosmic ancestor, see the light by staying grounded. You can look at this right here. This is essentially what I was just talking about how creating your boundaries, creating your auric shell, creating your energies around love, abundance, and value, rather than being in a space of just fear, right? Because when you create your boundaries around fear, you're training your nervous system to react and attract to those fears, and you're going to continuously face those boundaries rather than moving up and moving on and being in such a space to where you can be powerful, right? So that's kind of what Cancer is dealing with. Now, their future lesson is inner earth. So it says, you'll survive this. New solutions are being, created right now along with new beginnings, right? So that's essentially what I was just talking about how where they are extremely capable, they need to create boundaries out of love, and then once they do that, they will create a whole new like state of inner being where they're living in a space of what's the word? They're living in a space of internal abundance and growth, that they are going to create a whole new external reality around them, right? But they need to face the quote of they need to face that energy of, it's better to be at war with the world and at peace with yourself than at peace with the world and at war with yourself, right? Because that's kind of what fear-based boundaries leads to. It leads to people pleasing. It leads to holding yourself back. It leads to being in such a space to where you don't even understand the energies of what's going on. And you're just kind of just like bending to the world's will, which is not what I want for you, Cancers. Now, moving on to the namesake here, let's start on Leo. So Leo, it's your new moon. Yo, what up, Purnell? Thanks for showing up. So moving on to Leos, which is the namesake for this full moon reading, is essentially what we're dealing with is crowning the self. We're dealing with, this is like a sense of sovereign rebirth. They don't want to just shine. They want to lead themselves with love and understand that the chakra focus that we're kind of dealing with, Leo, here is the crown as well as the solar plexus, right? So when we're talking about Leo, we're doing the past, present, and future lesson for Leo's sun, moon, and rising, but more specifically the ascendant or rising sign of the Leo new moon in 2 degrees and 7 minutes, angling the Ursa Major constellation and the fixed star Talitha on July 24th or 23rd, depending on where you are at in the world. So let's do past, present. Dang, that card dropped. It's going to be serious. And then future. Okay. So the past lesson of Leos that we're dealing with is essentially lifting the veil, right? So it says, questioning everything, anything unaligned must go. So when we think about an energetic rebirth and we think about the ascendant and the aura of what people are dealing with, the ascendant is your aura, right? It's the energy that your soul vibrated in when it incarnated, and it is the lessons that you need to learn to basically be at the vibration that your soul needs you to be and learn it's like a self I don't know, it's like a self-training mechanism, right? Because your ascendant is the mask you wear. It's not necessarily who you are, but it's your soul's aura, right? And so when you look at your soul's aura, that's the vibration that it is at to teach you and get its physical body up to par in terms of what it needs to do, right? So this is like, it gets real complicated when we get into like progressions and like, astrocartography and like shifting the lessons of your chart and blah, 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 blah. But essentially what we're dealing with in regards to that energy is Leos are going through an energetic rebirth, right? So if we're dealing with a lot of young Leos, look at it this way. Oh, thanks for subscribing. So essentially what's going on with the energy of anything unaligned must go, Leos are essentially they're shedding the classic Leo ascendant trauma, which is like the square that they have with Scorpio in the 4th house. So the square that they have with Scorpio in the 4th house is essentially them not getting the energy and attention that they want from their parents. And basically, like, that's like a infinite game that will just never be solved, and it's like specifically designed for Leos because they need to stand on their own and like the biggest lesson that they can learn is to gain validation from themselves, right? But when we come with lifting the veil, we're kind of lifting the veil of those ascension, like those not ascension seeking, but attention seeking energies of how Leos are and what they think, right? So when we look at it from that perspective, essentially what Leos are lifting is they're recentering themselves. And when it comes to anything aligned, it's those attention seeking metrics that came from their childhood that they're healing, right? So essentially those, if you look at like the sequence of chakras, your 4th house is here, your solar plexus is here. Your 4th house sits above your solar plexus. So if we go through a very basic hierarchical breakdown of Leos, essentially they have to remove the vibration of having your expectations of your family and the validation you may want from them and transforming yourself and your own creative energies for the attention that you think you need for some reason that we don't even know, and shifting back to a soul centered, and I do mean soul in the sense of SOUL and SOL, of where it's like your own creative focus, your own creative energies, and your own intentions behind what's going on. So when we look at it that way and we talk about things that way, well, yeah, I mean, 4th house is like the heart because, I mean, that's why it aligns with the heart chakra. You feel me? So that's pretty much the energy of like what Leos are going through in a past sense of where they basically need to get out of that old expectation and that old like need to please their parents and due to attention seeking things because they're not feeling they get what they want, but they don't even know what they want type of thing. And we move on to the center lesson, which was important, which is double mission. It says, Lightworker, Starseed, serve the world by being you. So when we get back to that lesson of you going through all of those familial and heart-based expectations of how you wanted to be, attention-seeking in some way, and you recenter yourself, you'll kind of learn that that energy is a double mission, right? Because you getting closer to yourself, yeah, it's like an 80-20 split of where it's like you focus on your ascendant for the most part, and then there's like added little like cherries on tops for the other ones. But that's like, it's one of you if you want to get complicated with it. So when it comes to the double mission that we were talking to, and it comes to serving the, serving the world by being you, essentially what's going on is you going through that lesson of, yeah, but also, that's a whole thing in itself that you probably should not do because it's not beneficial to you in your current circumstances. But you'll figure that out. Thank you. So, but Virgo's coming next. So when it comes to the double mission of Leos are, how do I put this? Leos, like the double mission that they're experiencing by being themselves is the lesson of what they went through to get there, but also the extreme authenticity of who they are when they become themselves, right? So it's like getting through that Scorpio 4th house square, and that's also the power that it puts behind that energy of authenticity. So when we look at it that way, it's sort of like, get over your childhood nonsense. Get over your goth era. Get over your dark era, because it's Scorpio in the 4th house. So it's always going to be some dark type of shit that basically pulls the Leo in and puts them in a position to understand and isolate those energies of what's going on, right? So, like, once they get over that and they get over that, like, get out of my room, mom type of energy, they essentially become very authentic in who they are and what they want to be and how they want to make those things happen. So they serve that double mission of serving the world, of going through their own, birth of a butterfly type of energy where they get out of that cocoon. And essentially moving on to their future lesson is loosen your grip, right? So it says, we got this card again, which is coping mechanisms, destiny, addiction, and let God in. So with Leos going through that and being as dramatic as they are in their heads as they are externally, Leos and their double mission will almost like kind of force their help on other people. And what this card is saying is, hey, just because it was so powerful for you doesn't mean that you have to force your power over other people, which is essentially enacting the same thing that put you through that lesson to begin with, and recognizing that, hey, bruh, you need to move on. Stop being a crazy person trying to force a lesson of, self-creativity and self-growth and self-expansion, and recognizing that, when people need your energy and attention, you'll know. Don't force it on them. What's going on, Dewal? But yeah, so that's pretty much the energy of Leos. Get over your 4th house square. Remember that the power of your own creativity and personal belief and just being you came from the mission of you not being you and being energy and attention seeking. And the journey as well as the result are both the answers in terms of what your purpose is to serve. And then don't force it on people. Just because you feel it and you focus on it doesn't mean other people are going through it. Chill out. And that's the energies of Leos. Now, moving on to Virgo, or Virgo, as I say. Oh man, you got an emerald bracelet? Shouts out to Virgo. That's pretty cool. 44. So yeah, so essentially what Virgos are dealing with is they're kind of dealing with the sacred silence, because it's, Virgo in the 12th house. The homies need to chill out and recognize that they're putting too much energy into some bullshit. So basically what the, I guess you could say advertiser-friendly reading on that is, you don't need to be visible to be powerful, and this is your retreat before your re-entry due to the natural cycles of, how the sun moves through their chakras. So we're doing past, present, and future lessons on Virgo for the new moon in 2 degrees of Leo, angling the fixed star Talitha in the Ursa Major constellation, aka the right paw of the bear. And we are doing past, present, future. Okay. So the past lesson for Virgos is wait, it's not time yet. This is really convenient because they're dealing with a 12th house new moon. They need to sit their ass down and remember that they're working really, really hard on things that they aren't aligned with. Once again, what Virgos are doing and why they're dealing with this 12th house experience that they deal with every year is once the summer hits and the sun's out and everybody's out and has energy again, they are understanding that they're going through an experience of being held back. They're going through an experience of working on and focusing in on things that aren't aligned with them. What they're mainly focusing on is them being in such a space of where they're like, they feel they can help. They feel that they can focus on it. They see the vision. They see how they can add to it, but yet they're seeing only how they can add to it, only how they can improve, only how the other person is being held back in some way, and they're not necessarily in there for the right reasons of being aligned with their soul. They're being aligned with their Virgo-ness of where they're voraciously focused on varying aspects of the project that they can essentially, virtue signal to themselves because they want to improve it. And that's the only reason. They just want to improve. They want to help. They want to work. And they're willing to sacrifice themselves over that, which is, boring. And then the next thing they got, which is similar to Aries, is they got power places, ley lines, activated earth, where they're in that peace and in that state of being held back or in that state of being relaxed and peaceful. They're recognizing where their power lies, right? So they're taking the time to understand and recognize their gifts. And what their gifts are is taking a step back, sitting, relaxing, being peaceful, and waiting for that true alignment to come. Now, their future lesson is the We Are the Hearthers card. So it says, deep love, mother's milk, birth is a portal. And essentially what's that saying is what I've been saying, which is wait for something aligned to put your divine skills of project management to use. Stop being a lazy sack that is just someone who, wants to help for the sake of you being capable of helping, right? Like, that is not a sustainable metric for you to actually move up and move on and do something to that degree. Now moving, that's pretty much it for Virgo. Like, they just got to chill out and recognize when they're called rather than when they feel the need to assist in something. So moving on to Libra. The homie Libra is kind of dealing with a sense of aligned reflections, right? So when I say aligned reflections, we are dealing with watching the mirrors around you. And what that means is the moon is showing who's amplifying you and who's disturbing your own light. So we're kind of dealing with the shin, or the 11th house chakra, as well as the heart, where Libras are kind of doing the same people-pleasing metrics of, like, just being the balancing act and being the judge, jury, and executioner for social situations because they can and they're good at it, not because they're called to do it, So let's see the past, present, and... Oh, damn. The list popped out. I guess that's the present lesson, the past, present, and future lesson for Libra, sun, moon, and rising, but mostly rising on the new moon in Leo, July 24th, 2025, in 2 degrees and 7 minutes of Leo, angling the Ursa Major constellation and the fixed star Talitha. Okay, so past, we already pulled present, and then let's do future. So the past lesson is double mission. This is referring to what I was saying in regards to light worker, starseed, serve the world by being you, of where it's like they naturally see the energy, they see it, they see it. They see one party's story, the other party's story, and then the third perspective of what actually happened, right? But the thing is that they got to chill the fuck out because they are in a space of understanding how to heal all of these things. But it's that classic lesson of, they got to figure it out on their own, man. Just because you can doesn't mean you should, or it definitely means you will, but you got to learn how to not to, right? Which is the present lesson of loosen your grip. It'll all work out. Let them work it out. You don't need to really apply your energies unless you're called to do it. So it's just like Libras, chill out. Just because you have the skill doesn't mean you have the responsibility. Balance yourself. Yup, balance yourself. Now, the future lesson is the 7 star sisters, where it says birthing creations, tapestries of life. And essentially, you are going to, basically what all of this is saying is you're going to stop getting validation. You're going to stop getting validation for you being good at mediation and mediating arguments or disagreements with people. You're going to relax. And you're going to remember that you are going to start moving in a space where you can put people together to build, instead of taking the time to build your ego for some type of lies that you tell yourself about you being someone to handle it, where you just like feeling like you're the only one to solve the problems, and in reality you're just being a dickhead that kind of drains your own energies for the sake of social banter, right? Like you're just like it's basically like low vibrational Libra energies like that, which is a lot of them. You're like you're basically an energetic vampire with a story of virtue that you tell yourself. Like there's really no difference, But at the same time, I don't know, we come back to the old, since we're moving into Scorpio, we come back to the old dynamic of some old CIA logic, which is motivation and manipulation are 2 sides to the same coin. So, yeah. Now, moving on to Scorpio. I like this because I love me. Scorpio, 451, 425. So, Scorpio rising, we're kind of dealing with the legacy in motion. What Scorpios are going through is, what do you want to be remembered for? And how does this moon activate your soul authority, right? So we're dealing with the knee, or the 10th house chakra, the solar plexus, and the throat, where it's just like, Scorpios always want to seem smart, detective-like, and always in like, they like to be the same way that Libras do, where they're always seen as a go-to person for XYZ energies. But they got to recognize that they have a choice to what they want to be remembered for, instead of just remembering to be cool, calm, and collected in front of people. Now, let's pull the past, present, and future lessons for Scorpio on the Leo new moon at 2 degrees and 7 minutes of Leo on July 24th, 2025, angling the fixed star Talitha in the Ursa Major constellation. So, past, present, future. So, the past lessons of Scorpios is they are taking the baby steps. So, baby steps is action. Follow your intuition before it makes sense, right? So this is where Scorpios are essentially training their social energies, they're training their intuitive gifts, and they're training their emotional spaces of connectivity and energy, right? Essentially, yeah, I mean, I hear you. But that's like kind of what I was saying before in regards to motivation and manipulation are the 2 sides of the same coin. So it's not manipulation, it's more or less motivation for a collective cause where someone is seen as the point person. So I feel like that kind of just overcomplicates that. But it is a quote that it inevitably sounds good. So with Scorpios, it's baby steps, right? It's testing the waters in terms of your just intuition, right? Because Scorpios feel, when it comes to intuition, a lot of intuitive natures are very subtle and quiet, because it carries the energy of Mars and Pluto, of where it's just like Mars is the element of like subtle motivations, and Pluto is the element of it's just a planet that wants to move on and get out of the solar system because it's tired of it, and it wants to kind of like give you your own power and really support you in like a tough love, like, mentor in the distance type of way. But when it comes to Scorpios, these baby steps are teaching it how to learn the subtle emotional energies of like the subtle emotional energies of what it means for the universe to whisper, right? Which is a complicated thing to learn because it's like a very like it's so subtle and so light and so impartial of an idea that you don't even take notice of it till like what Scorpios usually go through is something crashing down of where they're like, oh man, I had that subtle thought to do that and I should have listened to that, right? So it's training your intuition to learn those things and essentially move up and move on. Now, their personal lesson is to loosen your grip, right? Where this is really popping up, where it says coping mechanisms, destiny, addiction, let God in. And what I think that's calling to for a lot of the Leo new moons is like, you have your focus, you need to stick with it, and you need to move on in such a way that is useful and beneficial to you, right? So when it comes to that, it's like the way to manage those baby steps is to relax, to loosen up, and to just let people move up and move on, right? So essentially, it's just chill out, dude. You'll learn. And then essentially what their future lesson for Scorpios is the weight of the world, right? So it's boundaries, let it go. It's not yours to carry. And recognizing that when you want to learn your intuition and really expand on that, that's the opportunity that we're dealing with. That's the opportunity that we have. That's the opportunity that we're experiencing, right? So it's kind of like basically what this new moon is saying is like Scorpios, you will inevitably master what's on your mind, but it's going to take a long time and you're going to be divinely guided to do it, and it's going to be so cool that you have to learn how to not be attached to the result because it's like it's not you, it's just you being a channel, and you need to kind of give that up in a way and then essentially like give it up to God and the universe and all that stuff. So it's an interesting space. It's useful, but it's complex and not something you're going to exactly master in your conscious mind. So take a break, dog. Now, moving on to Saggy. Sagittarius risings are dealing with the old visional flame, the old flame of the vision, you feel me? What time is it? So, Sagittarius, they're dealing with the vision flame. Their beliefs are expanding. The moon is going to essentially open, it's going to open them up to their spiritual next level, whatever that means for Sagittarius. And they're kind of dealing with the energies of their ninth house or their thighs, as well as their solar plexus and first eye chakra. So when it comes to Sagittarius, essentially what they have going on for Sagittarius on the July 24th, new moon 2025, past, present, future lessons for the fixed star Talitha, as well as the Ursa Major constellation alignment with the new moon. Past, present, future. So what they're doing in the past is they're dealing with the empathic starseed, which says energetic sovereignty, absorbing what is not yours. So they're kind of one second. All right, now I'm comfortable. What they're dealing with is essentially like, I don't know, they spend like a lot of time like focusing on other people's philosophies and kind of just like learning the energetic excitement of like quote unquote what's hot, and they're recognizing right now that they need to take a deeper focus into what's interesting to them, and they're likely going to start like planning their ideas of travel, right? So they're going to start planning their ideas of where they want to be, where they want to go, what they want to do. And essentially what they have going on is an opportunity to open themselves up in such a way where they are abundant, yet they are not exactly reliant on societal expectations or what the people around them want to study and philosophize about, right? So when it kind of comes to that, these Sagittarius people are just like, they're probably planning a vacation. They're probably planning a getaway to have like a third, like a bird's eye view of what's going on. And they aren't necessarily in the space of like, they're just not like doing it for the gram anymore in terms of what they get excited about or what their vision is, right? So their next lesson is karmic relationships, right? Karmic relationships is always a funny card because the karmic relationships card is like it says Orion energy, polarity, soul growth, and conflict. So like they're kind of cutting ties to what I just said, where people expect them to be empathetic to some type of just vibration or experience or something along those lines, where they don't exactly recognize what's going on and why people are arguing with them, because they're moving on, right? This Leo new moon is giving them energetic sovereignty towards what they want to study and what they want to philosophize. So with the Saggies, they are cutting ties and getting a little conflict, right? Because they are recognizing auric leaks and energetic leaks to people where they didn't realize it, and they're just like, oh damn, this person didn't like me at all. This person was hating on me. This person was almost like using my energy and my excitement for something that I wanted to do, and I didn't realize that they were giving me the philosophical energetic boost. Well, here we are. That's what's going on. That's what people are experiencing, and they're like kind of like damn, you know. So it's sort of like they're recognizing what they got to cut and how they got to move on. Now when it comes to their future lesson, they got the your life is a canvas card. So as I swipe it out in my Yu-Gi-Oh fashion, of where it's just like eh, you know the life is a canvas card says artist, manifestation, and creative accountability. And the key word that we're going with here is creative accountability, because when it comes to that, these people are essentially recognizing, oh man, not that. These people are recognizing that if they create for someone else, basically, like what I was just describing, they are at risk to, like, they're just at risk to the energetic responsibilities of that person's vision, right? So it's just like, if they accept the terms and conditions of becoming the fuel to someone else's vision, and the other person isn't respecting that, the fuck are you gonna do? You know what I'm saying? Of where it's like, dog, you basically signed up to be the engine for that person's vision, and they don't exactly even know, like, that's going on, and you signed up for it, right? So this is where it's like, this is where it kind of comes to what I was talking about in like the general, like, expansive Leo season, of where it's like you're gonna get a reminder of who you are and what you want to do, but then you're going to be tested. You're going to be tested with Chiron retrograde and Cancer, Venus and Cancer. You're going to be tested with Mars and Libra. You're going to be tested with the full moon in Aquarius. And all of these things are going to position you in such a way where it's like, it's kind of rough, dude. Like, it's going to position you in such a way where you're like, like, gotta move up and move on, you feel me? You gotta do these things, you gotta expand, you gotta not be responsible for other people's shit. So essentially that's what it is for Sagittarius, where it's like you don't understand the energetic responsibility behind supporting someone's motivations in a long-term setting. So yeah, take responsibility for that, because it will happen to you. Okay. Moving on to Slappy Cappy. Okay, so Capricorn. Capricorn is also interesting because they're dealing with a lot of their 8th house energies. Yay, Capricorn time. So essentially they're dealing with the revealed shadow, which is letting themselves be seen even when it's messy. That's how intimacy becomes magic in a way, right? Because it's like people see you being held back. People see you being in a space of responsibility. People see you being in a space of, always just being the responsible one, always being seen as put together, and the power that people will have for you when they see you not put together. Obviously be careful with that, but, people are going to be like, oh, fuck, like you're the pillar that's holding everybody up. You can't go down. And they're going to come and help you in a way that you would have never asked for, without being seen as someone that's hurt and kind of fucked up at the moment. Not to say, like, because it's like people aren't going to unsee your capability, but it's going to add a lot more recognition to your value. So let's pull the past, present, and future lessons for Capricorn, Sun, Moon, and Ascendants, but mostly rising signs for the new moon in 2 degrees and 7 minutes of Leo, angling the fixed star Talitha in the Ursa Major constellation, angling on July 24th, 2025. Past, present, future. Okay. So, the first card they got is Hyreth, which is longing for home, homesick for the stars, right? This is very similar to the bullshit that a lot of people get into spirituality for in regards to having an ego boost, and how a lot of people use spirituality as an ego boost is they're basically selecting a form of logic or expertise with no earthly defined metric for like qualifications or status. So it's basically them creating a mental status or a mental ego in their own light that cannot be checked by any earthly source. And they use that as an excuse for their own ego to be built because they haven't built any sense of competence or experience or actual, metric that is tangible and respected by others in this world, right? And that is a lot of the reason why people get into spirituality for the most part, right? And, you'll see it. If you've been on my lives, you've seen people that, like, buy something and then I say anything, like, literally anything that isn't positive or attacks them or their ego in a way that I didn't even intend, they will react and respond in a way that says, that's not how you're supposed to treat your customer. You're supposed, and it's basically brings back to the old quote of the customer is often wrong, but that doesn't mean you don't have to make them happy. So that's the risk that you run with a lot of spiritual people because, like they're little bitches for the most part. Like they're weak. They are crushed in many aspects of life, which is why they created an egoic support or a sense of inner security around something that cannot be checked in any way, shape, or form, and it lets their ego grow without any accountability, so that when it does, they react and respond, right? So this is something that Capricorn is dealing with because they are naturally built to do these things, and if they get into the aspect of spirituality, that is the very likely path they will go to. So but also when it comes to Capricorn, it's like it's a high probability of Capricorns doing that in spirituality, but it's a very low probability of Capricorns doing that in any realm, like just period, right? So with that being said, their past lesson is it's like they're feeling misaligned with their soul's gift and their purpose of incarnation because they very likely got caught up in societal expectations and building for other people, Now, moving on to the center card, which is Earthed, they're kind of coming into this next lesson of learning how to be human in the world, but not of it, right? So essentially what's going on with that is they are remembering that, like, because it's like, Capricorn's the sea goat, dude. They feel the vibration of, whatchamacallit, they feel the vibration of, what's the word? Like they feel a lot of emotions, they feel a lot of energy, they feel a lot of just empathy, but they're not like, they're seen as like not supposed to react and respond to that because they're, like they just be doing them, you feel me? Like they be doing this, they be doing that. They want things to happen. They want things to be, they want to make things happen. They want to like, be responsible, but they still feel all the emotions. They're still building despite it. They're still building on top of it. They're acting like Frank Lloyd Wright in Japan that's building a building on a bog because they have so many frequent earthquakes, like that's what they got to do. They're the ones that are responsible. They're the ones that are going to figure it out. And they're the ones that are bridging the gap between the emotional realm and the Saturnian responsibilities of life. So that's what it is. Now the next card they got is Deep Cellular Healing, right? So Arcturus energy, the Boots constellation, where they're physical and emotional healing. And essentially what they're doing is what I said about like showing their 8th house is they're bridging the gap between this, of where they're like, they're getting the recognition that they deserve but don't feel is seen, right? And it's not like Capricorns don't get the recognition they deserve. It's that they're they're straight up like RBF people most of the time, where they're just like, and they don't like they're not open and necessarily receptive to that praise that they need and deserve. And it's like them showing that element of weakness is essentially bridging the gap between what they need and what's going on, right? So it's you know, it's more or less just them showing a sense of humanity so they can actually receive the support they deserve. But yeah, all right, moving on to Aquarius. So Aquarius, right? Aquarius is dealing with the concept of like union codes, where they're recommitting themselves to their dreams. Yeah, if you think that's accurate, imagine what a personal reading will do for you. But thank you. So when it comes to recommitting yourself and your dreams and your divine counterparts, it's kind of looking at the moon, like the moon's just asking like who walks with you, and you know, on the other end it's like, bro, who are you manipulating, you know? So it's just like when it comes to Pluto, because Pluto's in Aquarius now, Pluto is showing them like, where are your dreams, man? How you vibing? Like, what's going on with you, you know? And essentially it's asking you like, who really aligns with you, and who are you just there for subtle power games that only you recognize, but you know deep down energetically it's not beneficial to you. Like that's what it is, you know? So it's just kind of like, well, let's ask the questions, right? Past, present, and future lessons for the Leo new moon, July 24th, 2025, angling in 2 degrees and 7 minutes of Leo, which is angling the Ursa Major constellation and the fixed star Talitha. Yeah, let's go. Past, present, future. Did I write this down right? Oh, right, okay. We did. Thank you. Have a good one. So the past, right? It says, what are your garden? Nourishment, body care, tenderness. You know, if emotional, you know, if Aquariuses are unemotional with you, they're likely unemotional with themselves, right? So with Pluto making their lives kind of harsh, they're like, bro, man, like this is rough. Chill out, you know? And they need to get a massage. They need to have a spa day. And for once, Aquariuses need to treat yourself. And that's pretty much what it is. Now, their middle lesson is the 7 star sisters, right? So it's the Pleiades energy, birth and creations, and just doing general building for, you know, stereotypical societal things. So when it comes to doing things for general societal whoop-wops, essentially what the Aquarian energy requires is like they gotta stop being like scheming. They gotta stop like playing around with social dynamics, especially Aquarius moons. They gotta like move up and move on and just be able to birth creations and experience that tapestry of life. So it's kind of like the Aquarius energy. It's like they can't truly build without that expression or that growth. So when it comes to what they need to build and how they need to experience these things, essentially what's going on is they need to just like they need to essentially just grow. They need to expand. They need to just be in a space where they if you want me to tell you about you, I'm doing live custom readings after I do the all signs reading, so click that link up in the chat or in the description. It's there. So essentially what Aquarius is dealing with is just learning how to be around the right people to have the right messaging, right? Because their future lesson is the messenger. Essentially what that says is Sirius energy, bringing harmony and balance. Sirius is, yeah, the Capricorn, I'm on Aquarius now. The Capricorn reading finished a couple minutes ago. If you want to scroll back to an hour and 3 minutes, that's when the Capricorn reading started. But if you want a custom reading, click the link right there. So the Sirius energy is like straight up, like I hate Sirius. I think it's a dumb star. I think it's like the equivalent of a high school kid trying to be cool to like middle school or elementary school kids because they can't be cool around their own people. But the, you know, positive aspect of that for Aquarius is going to be the messenger for like they're going to be the messenger for like just basic ways to support and like make life much more beneficial. So what's going on with that is like they're bringing harmony and balance through the idea of what is like just like generic things that can support life. So when we have that energy of them gaining peace and recognizing who supports them, they can then therefore be in a space where they can just do generic things that support life and whatnot, you know? But yeah, Aquarius isn't really that crazy. Like it's more or less just take a spa day, align with people that align with you so you can actually do things, and recognize that a lot of the ways that you're going to support the world may seem basic but are powerful and needed, and somehow you're the only one that can make it happen. Now, moving on to Pisces. Pisces, let's write that down. Pisces is kind of like devoting themselves to just like daily life and daily support. They are essentially turning their rituals into a sense of revival. This is where the sacred essentially becomes structured in a way, and they're kind of focusing on their gut chakra as well as their root chakra in a way, where they're recognizing certain things that align with their emotional vibration, right? So it's basically like do things to vibrate on a certain, it's just like do the basic things you need to vibrate, right? Do the basic things you need to align with. Do the basic things you need to resonate with and move up and move on from, right? Like that's pretty much what it is for Pisces, where it's just like you have a specific emotional vibration that you like and deeply resonate with. Okay? But do you put any work to maintain that? No. Okay, well then the Leo new moon is going to say, hey man, fucking do it. Now, let's pull the cards for the Leo, whatchamacallit, for Pisces, Sun, Moon, and Ascendants, but mostly risings for the Leo new moon on July 24th, 2025, peaking in 2 degrees and 7 minutes, angling the Ursa Major constellation in the fixed star Talitha, or the right paw of the bear. So, past, present, future. Now, the past of what Pisces is also learning is what are your garden, right? This is what I was saying in regards to if you want to experience a certain vibration, you need to nourish that. You need to experience that. You need to expand on that and live there, you know? The current lesson that they're learning is to fall into my arms, which is the first time we've seen this, which is surrender, holding the opposites and the extremes of life, right? So it's like they're the ones that are living in the spirit world, doing empathic things. They are, I'm gonna crack my back. They are doing, they're living in a certain space where they are the ones that are kind of resonating and experiencing, the extremes of life, So if they want to maintain that and manage the, general emotional vibration of society and also, kind of like hold the opposites of the extreme, that's what they got to do. That's what they're experiencing. That's what they're doing. And they need to have a routine, a daily routine, in order to support that, to stay in a certain vibration to where they can manage that. Now, the next thing they're doing is they're having the 7 star sisters, which came up a lot, which is, birth and creations, tapestries of life, general expression, and moving up and moving on in such a way to where that they can, they're just vibing, right? Like that's what they're doing. That's what they're experiencing. That's what they're making happen. And essentially, it is an opportunity for them to, it's an opportunity for them to, just maintain what it is they're doing, which is managing the general psychology of society through just like being such an empathic space and managing the emotional state of everyone they're around. Yeah, I mean, Pisces, it's real simple. It's just taking care of yourself so you can take care of the world like you already are. That's it. But yeah, that's it for Pisces. But yeah, that's all the readings, guys. If you want a custom reading, click that link. And other than that, I'll just hang out with y'all. But yeah, anybody got any questions about the new moon? Let me know what's up. I'm gonna go make some breakfast. Thanks, Beans. Yeah. Would I have more to learn about astrology? Yeah, I mean, there's always stuff to learn. Thanks, Grace. Yeah, like I said, hop back into the Alchemist Laboratory. We got a lot we're cooking. But, whatchamacallit? Like, for me, it's just really diving into all the fixed stars, because it's like, it's 88 constellations, and they have a minimum of like 4 stars each, and some have like 50. So it's like learning every star and doing like a fixed star reading on everyone. Like, it's a lot, dude. Like, I have a playlist that I've been working on for a while, which is the astrological readings and all the on the constellations, and they're you've been saying that for months. Damn. But yeah, I believe in you. But yeah, learning, like, just doing all that, it's like, man, it's a lot of work, dude. It's a lot of work. So I've been doing that for like a couple of years now, of where it's like, because it's like, I've said that, like, oh, I'm gonna finally do a video on all the 88 constellations, and then it's like, you know, a couple of years pass, and you're just like, bro, you only did a couple, you know? So it's like, it's like, I'm getting it done now. It was one of my year goals. I do my year goals by the astrological year, which is when the sun enters Aries, or like March 20th ish, all the way through the next March 20th ish. And yeah, so that's like my goal. I'm probably gonna complete it this year. I honestly, I very likely will. I have 7 done, and I also have a web page and a new format to actually make it happen. But yeah, that's what I'm learning. In terms of like what I have to learn, like, I can always learn more synastry. I can always learn more astrocartography. I can always, like, you know, I can always do that. Like, there's always something to learn, but it's just like, in terms of like basic and really expanding like what I like and what I want to do with it. Nah, it's more or less just like fleshing it out and actually doing it. Like, I kind of already know. Like, I know my framework for the fixed stars, and yeah. But did you see my email? I sent it to you from my joe@solarsystems.org email. If DMs work better for you, we can just stay there. But I don't know. The topic at hand seemed like it was fit for email. But yeah. I have no idea what you're saying. Cool, man. Are you asking me if you want me to speak in Hindi? Because, like, if you couldn't tell, I'm European centric. Yeah, just making sure, because I switched like my hosting, and I forgot to do all of the what's the word, like, all, what the hell is it called, like yeah, I know, that's what I think they're asking. I'm just like, look at me, bro. Like, I'm like broadly Mediterranean. How am I gonna speak Hindi? Like, if I learn Vedic astrology and I get a guru that's like, hey, you have to learn Hindi, I'm gonna be like, all right, well, shit, that's what I gotta do, and I'll probably learn Sanskrit too. But yeah, good night. But yeah, what was it? Oh, what the hell is that called? Where it's like how you route your email stuff through. It's like it's not like the D mark and the DKIM keys and all that stuff. It's the other one. Well, it's both, but I'm trying to think of the other name. But yeah, I had to do all that, and like my email was like messed up for a while, and I didn't realize it. I didn't get emails for like a month, so I was like, oh, I gotta figure this out. But yeah. Oh yeah, so okay. I'll just copy and paste the email I sent. I sent it from joe@solarsystems.org, so check your spam. But I'll just copy and paste what I wrote into the DMs. Oh, thanks for watching. Glad you liked it. But yeah, thanks for coming on the live, because I was like worried about that because my email's been a little weird. But yeah, I just DM'd it to you. So yeah, I mean that's pretty much the vibes, man. This is a good time. Oh, it's also interesting that you've been here a lot because I probably actually am going to Hawaii to see my friend because he's I met my homie because I'm in Colorado right now. So like my homie, we've been climbing. Yeah, I figured as much. I just DM'd it to you just in case. But yeah, so it's like my homie just literally texted me a picture. He's like, "Yo, I found this boulder on deep in the jungle of Maui," and I was like, "Bro, you got to get the first ascent." So yeah, that's pretty cool. Because I was telling him how I've been guiding some pros for like outdoor climbing stuff, which is fun. All right, well, as long as you got the message, just making sure my email ain't fucked. Damn, now I want to know what it is. Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, I got like 600 videos on astrology. Ranging from all things. Like I did some basic stuff. I did like the reason why I have a lot of subscribers is because I made a bunch of like YouTube shorts on the most like bullshit astrology things that you could possibly think of. Oh, right. That's what it was. I had to make sure that Cloudflare had all the mix records correct. That's what it was. Because it's like I have a G Suite email, but it's like I moved my site to Cloudflare. That was the whole thing. I'm sure you're well aware of the theories on Cloudflare being NSA ran, just like all of the Tor things. Yeah. I'm in America, dude. Yeah. It's a funny theory. It's just like oh, what was the other theories about it's like SoFi being funded by some other government agencies, which I think are funny. Yeah, I mean, I'm offering them for the duration of the new moon. But yeah, it's like the same thing I did with a couple extra cards that give more perspective. So it's just like for the new moon reading, basically what I do is look at this. So it's like I did 3 cards, and a lot of my card readings are very like pyramid based because it's like my whole thing is like everything has to lead to like a point or an intention, like and nothing like I get annoyed by all that extra stuff. But basically it's like I'll do past, present, and future lesson, and then I'll do like the 2 correlations to that, and then I'll put a purpose to it, so it like creates like a triangle. So it's like that's how I do it for the personalized readings, and I'll just whatchamacallit, like for that, like I don't know, I'll just probably like I could create it, like maybe I'll create a loom, I don't know, but either way I'll send you like a little video of it probably on Instagram, something like that. So yeah, just if you want that, let me know. But yeah, it'll be available for the duration of the new moon, and then I'll probably change it to the full moon when that comes up, and it'll be back forth, back forth. That's funny. Hey, Netherlands, that's what's up. Thank you. It is beautiful, actually. I think it's like, let me do a Celsius conversion. Oh yeah, beans. It's important for you. Yeah, whatchamacallit. I live in the high desert of America, so whatchamacallit, for me it's 35 degrees Celsius right now. And it's like the air temperature, and it's like the sun's hitting you. So yeah. That was funny. Yeah, I mean it's dry heat though, so it's like different, you know? I actually moved from an area that's like more swampy. So it's like, hey man, that humidity, that it's like the most white people phrase ever. It's not the heat, it's the humidity. You know? But yeah. But yeah, so it's just like, I don't know, it's different. Yeah, that's pretty much the vibe, you know? Rocky Mountains, dude. Rocky Mountain High. But yeah, anybody else got any other astrological queries? Shouts out to Canada. Shouts out to the Canadians. That's what every Instagram model wants. Break it down, you'll get what I'm saying. Yeah, Beans, you have family that you're not going to see on August 10th in there. Yeah, guys, let me know. Let me know what you want to know about astrology and the new moon. I got knowledge. Knowledge to share. Guidance to guide. Oh, okay. Bye. Oh, yeah, I like doing them too. I'm going to actually multi-stream them on different platforms at some point. There you go. All right, guys. Bye.